While I was training a new hire, my supervisor joked loudly, "Don't worry about her advice, she means well, but half the time we have to fix her mistakes anyway." I stared at him in shock as he added, "Let's just say she's better at making coffee than making decisions." I documented every correction I had actually made to his work and sent it to the regional manager. He was moved to another department within the week. I've worked at this logistics center in Gresham, Oregon for 6 years. I started as a data entry temp, but over time I learned more systems, more processes, and eventually they hired me full-time as a logistics coordinator. It's not the kind of job you dream about as a kid, but it's a steady paycheck, it keeps me busy, and I'm damn good at it. I don't screw up. If I don't know something, I ask. If I make a mistake, I fix it. I don't gossip, I don't play games, and I don't step on toes. I've trained 5 new hires since I started, and I've covered for 3 supervisors. I've stayed late more nights than I can count, and I never once complained. I do my job because I know what it's like not to have one. When Matt got promoted to supervisor last year, I knew it was going to be a problem. He was one of those guys who talks more than he listens. He always acted like he was too busy, even though he never really did anything. He didn't know the systems, barely touched the reports, and when things went wrong, he always found someone else to blame. Usually me. Still, I kept quiet. I didn't want to be that person. I figured eventually, someone higher up would notice. Then we hired Amanda. She was young, fresh out of college, eager to learn. She reminded me of myself, except she had that wide-eyed energy I'd lost after a few years in the job. I liked her. I offered to help train her, and HR said sure, go for it. So I did. That day, we were sitting side by side at my desk. I was walking her through a billing template when Matt strolled by holding his oversized energy drink. He stopped, leaned on the edge of my desk, and smiled. Then he said it. "Don't worry about her advice, she means well, but half the time we have to fix her mistakes anyway." I froze. Amanda looked down at her notebook. A few people chuckled in that awkward way people do when they don't know what else to do. And then he added, "Let's just say she's better at making coffee than making decisions." The whole room went quiet. Amanda looked like she wanted to disappear. I felt my face go hot, and I could feel the blood pounding in my ears. But I didn't say a word. I just nodded, turned back to the screen, and kept training. I didn't sleep that night. That wasn't the first time Matt had taken a jab at me, but it was the first time he did it in public, in front of a new hire, in a way that made me look stupid. I'd kept quiet for months, but now I was done. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to complain. I was going to show exactly what I'd been doing all this time, the work he couldn't be bothered to do. See, I'm the kind of person who saves things. I don't delete emails. I keep copies of files. If someone asks me to fix something, I save the original before I touch it. It's just how I work. So I opened up a folder on my personal laptop where I'd been collecting every time I had to fix one of Matt's screw-ups. At first it was just for myself, to make sure I had a record. But now, it became something more. There were dozens of files. Incorrect freight routing. Miscalculated inventory. Late submissions. Reports that were missing entire columns. Messages from Matt asking me to finish something for him. Screenshots of him telling someone, "Rachel's taking care of it," when I had no idea what it was. I didn't write a long speech. I didn't tell a sob story. I put together a plain document, 1 page per incident, date and time, what happened, what I fixed, and attached the proof. Then I sent it all to our regional manager, Marcy, with a subject line that just said, "Documentation." In the email, I wrote, "Hi Marcy, I wanted to share some recurring issues I've encountered while supporting the current supervisor in our department. This is not a complaint, just a record of corrections I've had to make over the past year. I thought it was important to have this on file. No anger. No accusations. Just facts. She didn't reply for 3 days. Then, the following Monday, Matt didn't show up. Nobody said anything at first. Then HR came through. The next thing we heard, Matt had been transferred to another department, one that didn't involve any direct reports or leadership duties. No desk. No visibility. No Amanda to joke in front of. Just a remote support role where he'd be answering tickets and updating forms. Amanda came by my desk later and said quietly, "I don't think you realized how smart you are." I didn't reply. I didn't need to. A few weeks after Matt disappeared into his new role, things in the office started to shift. People were quieter around me. Not hostile, just careful. Like they were afraid to say the wrong thing. I noticed it most with the other supervisors, especially Paul, who had always been friendly before. Now he barely said hello. Even Amanda seemed unsure. I caught her glancing over her shoulder sometimes when we talked. It didn't take long to figure out why. Turns out, someone had told Matt why he was moved. And Matt wasn't the type to go quietly. I didn't know who leaked it, but it didn't really matter, because suddenly I was the woman who got a boss fired. That's how they saw it. I overheard Paul saying to another lead, "You better not piss off Rachel. She'll send you to hell with a PDF." They laughed. I didn't. Then came the anonymous feedback forms from corporate. Every quarter, we all had to fill them out. You could rate your coworkers, your leads, anyone. Most people ignored them. Not this time. This time, someone, maybe more than one, decided to weaponize it. I was called into a meeting with HR. "Rachel," the rep said, polite but stiff, "we received some concerning feedback. It's alleged that you create a hostile environment, and that you may be undermining leadership." I just stared at her. "Can you tell me more about that?" she asked. "I'm guessing Matt didn't like being held accountable," I said. "And now his friends are trying to make me the problem." The HR rep blinked. She didn't deny it. "They didn't discipline me. There wasn't enough to go on. But the tone was clear, watch yourself. Keep your head down. Don't make waves." So I did the opposite. I started copying higher-ups on emails. I documented everything. Every task, every deadline, every correction I made. I stopped covering for people. If someone screwed up, I left it for them to fix. And when someone tried to slide their work onto my plate, I sent it right back. They hated it. But they couldn't touch me. My work was clean. My files were airtight. My inbox was a wall of timestamped truth. I became untouchable, and they knew it. Then one morning, I got a call from Marcy, the regional manager. "Rachel, I wanted to talk about an opening we have at the Beaverton location. It's a team lead position. More responsibility, better pay. I think you'd be a great fit." I was stunned. I asked for time to think. But here's the twist, someone else heard about the offer. And suddenly, the gloves came off. The offer spread like wildfire. By the next morning, 2 different supervisors, Paul and Denise, were whispering by the printer, and both stopped talking when I walked by. A week before, they could barely be bothered to look at me. Now, I was a threat. Because if I took that team lead position in Beaverton, I'd technically outrank them. That's when the sabotage started. At first, it was little things. Files I'd saved in the shared drive suddenly went missing. A report I submitted on time got flagged for being incomplete, even though I had the full version saved with a timestamp. My login credentials were randomly reset over a weekend, and IT claimed it was just a glitch. But it wasn't. The last straw was a freight schedule error that wasn't mine. Someone had gone into one of the shared workbooks and changed delivery dates after I finalized them. I only found out when 2 shipments arrived early and we had nowhere to store them. When I looked into it, the change history showed that it came from Denise's login. I printed everything and took it straight to Marcy. She didn't even blink. I had a feeling, she said. But before she could say more, she leaned in and said, there's something else you need to know. That's when she dropped the real bomb. Matt has been filing appeals to return to his old role. He's saying his transfer was retaliation. That he was targeted by a disgruntled employee. And now he has support from a few people here, including Denise. I laughed, not because it was funny, but because it was exactly the kind of move Matt would make. Twist the truth, play the victim, then wait for the right moment to strike back. Marcy was calm. We haven't approved anything yet. But we need to be careful. If this escalates, it could become a legal issue. So I told her I'd take the Beaverton job, on one condition. I wanted full authority to restructure the team if I saw the need. And I wanted all shared file access locked down until further notice. She agreed. I was transferred within the week. The day I packed up my desk, Denise didn't even say goodbye. Paul looked relieved. Amanda gave me a quiet hug and whispered, I'm sorry it got like this. You didn't deserve any of it. I didn't cry. I didn't gloat. I walked out with my head high. But that wasn't the end. Because Matt wasn't done yet. And he was about to make one last move that would take this whole thing even further. It was about 3 months into my new role in Beaverton when the email came. A forwarded message from a friend still working in Gresham. The subject line read, just so you know, he's back. Matt. They didn't bring him back as supervisor. But they did something worse. They gave him a project coordinator title, which basically meant he had no team but could collaborate with any department. Including mine. Sure enough, a week later, my inbox pinged. His name showed up on a group thread about a shipping software rollout. He'd been assigned as a liaison between departments. I stared at the screen. My stomach twisted. Not out of fear, out of fury. He was coming back. And not just quietly. This was a setup. That same week, I got wind from another contact that Denise had put in for a promotion, and used Matt as her reference. I realized then, they were trying to rebuild the same mess. Start over. Paint me as the problem. So I got to work. I didn't just dig into my own files this time, I asked questions. I pulled reports. I cross-checked every project Matt had helped on since he came back. And what I found was gold. 2 shipments misrouted because Matt gave the wrong codes. A vendor call he missed that cost the company a contract. And worst of all, a data breach risk. He'd been storing access passwords in a plain Excel file, unencrypted, saved under miscellaneous folder. I didn't send it to Marcy this time. I sent it to corporate compliance. This wasn't petty anymore. This was a risk to the company. I attached screenshots, logs, proof of repeated issues. I didn't sign my name. I didn't need to. The evidence was enough. 2 days later, Matt was suspended pending investigation. And then it all came crashing down. Denise got called in for questioning. Apparently she'd been deleting internal chat logs trying to cover up Matt's mistakes. IT recovered everything. When HR pulled up the full record of the sabotage, the anonymous hostile work environment complaints tied back to her and Paul. They hadn't just tried to push me out, they'd used company systems to manipulate records. Denise was fired. Paul resigned before they could finish the review. Matt? He didn't come back this time. His liaison title was stripped. And word is, he's now working at a third-party vendor as a low-level coordinator with no direct clients. As for me? I got a quiet thank you call from the head of compliance. A bonus. And full control over my department, with direct reporting to regional. I rebuilt my team with people I trusted, no snakes, no backstabbers. But I also learned something about myself. I let things slide too long. I covered for people who didn't deserve it. I thought staying quiet meant staying safe. I was wrong. Sometimes, staying quiet just gives snakes time to coil around your legs. I don't cover anymore. I don't carry other people's failures. And if someone wants to take a swing at me, they better be ready for what I swing back.